So, real quick, I'm going to give a little bit of intro to myself. You don't know my name, but I am the founder of RLS Wealth. But I think the name is very important because first, before even that, I'm a husband and a father. So I have 3 boys, Roman, Leo, and Silas. They are the R, the L, and the S of the firm. I'm the co-founder of an online community for financial advisors called the AGC, Advisors Join Us Community. No problem. And we are about to turn 5 years old. So it's a community for advisors, growing together collaboratively, especially in person. It's probably one of the coolest things I've done in my career, and I had no idea it was ever going to happen. Taylor Schulte, another marketing whiz, is my co-founder. I am the author of a daily note, and now I write a periodical, which is just kind of a longer form. The daily notes are something that I just started doing for fun for myself, but I just write about the alignment of spirit, mind, body, and money, which will show up in this talk as we go on. I'm also the host of a podcast called LifeDesign Plus, which I hope is helping people master their authentic life. Authentic life is a term you're going to hear quite a few times through this talk. Basically, the authentic life is the life I think I was created to live. I think we all have an authentic life, that we're here for a reason. We were given certain gifts and talents to bring to the world. A lot of us, those gifts and talents let us be financial advisors. And I think our job as advisors is to help our clients do that themselves. So I want to help more people find and live their authentic life because I've experienced what it means to do that myself. And then finally, I'm just obsessed with helping people do just that, live their authentic life. Now, before we get started today, I know how the second day of a conference can go. You may have been out late last night, so you're a little tired. We're coming off of lunch, so what I'm about to ask you to do is a little risky, but I want to do like a 2 to 3 minute meditation. If you follow me on social media, you know that I have embraced the world of woo, and I want to bring more woo to finance because I think it's important. But the reason I want to do this quick meditation is I just want to give you a chance to clear your mind. You're coming out of great conversations at lunch. You're probably thinking about what you need to do back at the office, emails to send, all these things. And I want you to be able to just drop into this present moment for this conversation, which I hope becomes more conversational rather than me talking at you. But if we want to go traditional, wait till the end for Q&A, we can do that too. But I want you to be able to just think and keep an open mind to some of the ideas that I'm going to present to you today. Because as we were talking about earlier, some of the stuff I plan on bringing up, this might be the first time you hear it at a financial planning conference, which excites me. And I'm extremely excited to see this place full. I didn't know if it was going to happen. So if you will, take a moment, close your eyes, and I'll make sure no one walks off with your stuff. And I know it's asking you to be vulnerable to close your eyes in a room of semi-strangers or maybe some people you know. But just close your eyes and just begin to focus on your breath. Focus as it comes in through your nose and down through your chest and into your belly and then back out. And if you can visualize it coming through, you can do that, or you can just focus on the rise and the fall of your chest and belly. And what we're going to do is just a little bit of what's called box breathing. So we'll breathe in for 4 seconds, we'll hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. And we'll just do a couple rounds of that. So take a breath in for 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release. 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1, and breathe in. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and hold. 3, 2, 1, and release. 3, 2, 1, and hold. Now just return back to your normal breath. And just focus on your breath. Now, you probably have thoughts in your mind right now, and that's okay. Oftentimes we think meditation is clear mind and nothing coming in. That's absolutely not what it is. Let those thoughts come, and when you realize you're thinking, or you notice that thought, acknowledge it and let it go. It'll be there later on. It'll come back. And just focus on your breath. Your breath is your anchor. So this time, right now, and then the rest of this talk, is for you. Give yourself a break. Stay in the present moment. think about the things that I'm going to present to you, and consider them with an open mind. Keep breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. So in the next 45, 50 minutes, I'm going to challenge you to be a little selfish in the way you think about your practice, in your personal life, in your clients, and your family. As advisors, we provide a service, and we think that selflessness is the right thing to do for our clients. But sometimes selflessness can actually be selfish. It keeps us from giving our best and showing up to our fullest to our clients. And in your selfishness that I'm going to ask you to consider, it might help you move closer to the authentic version of yourself, which will allow you to show up better for your clients, for your family, and most importantly for yourself. So again, I'm going to ask you to keep an open mind as we go through this talk. Consider what I'm about to share with you and explore however you feel about it. All right, so as you slowly begin to open your eyes and come back, focus on the breath. All right, hopefully you feel a little refreshed and energized, and again, a clear, open mind, because some of the things that we're going to talk about will be a little different than what we talked about before in past presentations and financial planning. So I really only have two goals for today's talk. The first, I want to introduce you into life planning, which is what I believe to be a complementary way of helping our clients to the traditional financial planning that we're already doing. So I just want to put it on your radar. And then the second thing I want to do is I want to encourage you to reflect and look at your professional life, your personal life, and then the life that you want to live and feel called to live, and see how aligned they are. Because I'm of the belief, and I have evidence to support it, that the more aligned those things are, the better that we are going to be, the happier that we will be as individuals. Remember, I want you to be selfish. But in that selfishness and becoming happier and better versions of ourselves, we'll do better work for our clients, and our clients will have better outcomes. And I'm excited to share a study that supports that. So those are my two goals. So I'll address the elephant in the room. What is life planning? Show of hands. Anybody here of life planning familiar with it? Okay. So I'm glad, a lot of hands. That's good. At the simplest form, life planning is just aligning values with dollars. Historically, financial planning has been about the numbers. Spreadsheets, projections, asset allocations, required rate of returns, insurance amounts. It's been all focused on the numbers. Our greatest value as an advisor that we've been told is telling people how much to save, how to invest, and how to retire, and how to pay for college, and how to buy a house. And those are all great goals, but that's not everybody's main goal in life. And I honestly think that if those are the only goals you have in life is to retire, pay for college, and buy a house, I question whether or not you're really living and experience a full life. Those are the things we've been told we're supposed to want. There's nothing wrong with that, and those goals will all show up in the life planning process, but life planning is about helping clients figure out what they really want out of life. Figuring out that life, figuring out that version of themselves, and then bringing the numbers to that. And to me, that is really exciting. And I'll share kind of how I got to this and falling in love with life planning and the process that kind of convinced me of it. But at the simplest forms, it's not focusing numbers on the numbers first. It's focusing on our clients and what they really want. And a key part of the life planning process is giving people space to figure that out. So many times, when do you want to retire? How much do you think you need? Like, those are the conversations we have with clients. We need to be more personal. We need to get deeper. And we need to give our clients permission to truly dream and then go put our financial advisor hats on and crunch the numbers to see how can we make this happen. And I think that when people have a dream and a vision that they know is theirs, that they're really attached to, they're more likely to do the things they need to do to make that happen. So that's what life planning is at a very elementary level. How can we go about doing life planning as advisors? So I know of 3 programs, ways to do it. One of them is called Money Quotient. So I have not gone through the Money Quotient process, so I can't speak to exactly how it works, other than I have a lot of friends who have done Money Quotient, and they really enjoy it. They have a lot of success with their clients, but it's designed to help have those deeper, more personal questions and pull that life out that clients want. So Money Quotient is one of them. I found it yesterday. Somebody told me about it. But Golden Gate University has a life planning certificate. I think if I had to guess, again, haven't experienced it, it's probably going to be more academic based. And not that academics is bad, but if you've been doing this long enough, you understand that academic way of approaching financial planning is not always the way it really plays out, because there's human emotions and behaviors and other things. So there's value in academics, but I think that a more practical, practitioner-driven thing is more realistic. And then the final one is George Kinder's Registered Life Planner designation. And that's the one that I went through. I don't want to make this an advertisement for Kinder's program, but I do want to share more about that one because I can speak to it. And I know that once I get going, you are going to feel my energy elevate. I'm going to get excited because it's such an amazing process. And through that excitement, through that energy, I hope you see how real it can be and that I genuinely believe in this, and it might pique your interest to go explore it a little bit. So another show of hands, George Kinder. Are people familiar with George? I consider him the godfather of life planning. Rick Kaler's done a lot with it as well, but to me, George is the guy. And in his process, in the RLP designation, there's 3 phases of it. There's the 7 stages of money maturity, which is like a 2-day class. I haven't done it, I'm doing it last, which I'll explain why in a moment. But there's 7 stages of money maturity. There's a book by that name, which you can read. There is the EVOKE training, which EVOKE is the 5-step process that the Kinder process goes through. Exploration, vision, obstacle, knowledge, and execution. I'll tell a little bit more of those in a minute. And then you do a mentorship. And at the end of that is when you earn your designation and you can go out and do life planning. Technically, you could read all of Kinder's books and gain the knowledge and go do it yourself, but there is something about the EVOKE process that is really magical. It's that you actually get life planned. So you go through this life planning process, and then you also life plan another advisor. You're paired up. So instead of doing the boring role playing that we all hate and we half-ass to get through, you're actually answering these questions, feeling the emotions, and creating a life plan for yourself. And that is when I had the aha moment that this is my future. My plan, the reason I'm doing the first one last, is my plan in doing EVOKE was to just do that, get the knowledge, go through the experience, and then be done. I didn't care about the designation. And on night 2, I was sold. I was drunk on the Kool-Aid that I was going all in on Kinder, and I was going to change my business, which I'll share with you in a little bit going forward. And to best illustrate the magic of the process and why I was so excited about it, I'll share one of my class members. So every night in the process, one group will do whatever it is we're working on in front of everybody else. So in the process we're going through, and one of the advisors had a goal to buy a beach house. Not an uncommon goal you probably hear about with your clients. And most of us, all right, beach house. $2 million, here's how we need to get there. But the EVOKE process, we want to get to the why. Like, what's the reason behind the beach house? I mean, yeah, it's nice to live at the beach, but you said that was a big goal of yours. Why? And in Kinder, you give space for them to sit with their emotions and bring things up. It gets uncomfortable sometimes, but in that discomfort of quiet is when real answers come out. And long story short, he shares with the group, his team member, that he wants to buy a beach house because that was his father's goal. But his dad didn't live long enough to achieve it. And then on night 2, on Zoom, in front of a Zoom studio of strangers, he proceeds to break down and cry, bawling. I don't know if he'd never made the connection to the why behind it, probably buried in his subconscious, but he never connected to it. And when he spoke those words and he felt that emotion, he was overcome. How many times does somebody say, I want to retire at 65, and immediately lose control of their emotions? They don't. They're not attached to that goal because they don't even know why they want to retire at 65. The next day he comes back. He shares with us that he shared the experience with his wife, and the whole day, but then that night. And his wife said, he shares with us, his wife said, I had no idea why you wanted that beach house. Like, why are we waiting to go do that? And they started looking at it. So he shares that with us, that in one night's time, it totally changed the focus of their financial planning because now there was a reason behind the beach house. That first was just surface level. So I mentioned we have the mentorship program. So for 6 months, we continue to meet, we continue to practice, we continue to get better at what it is we're doing. And he tells us, in less than 6 months' time, they have narrowed it down to 2 properties. So a goal, a dream that he wanted, or he thought he had to wait 10 years is now within less than 6 months happening. And I don't know how woo any of you are, but to me, that is the process of manifestation. And George Kinder will never say it. No one else will ever say that's in the space of leadership, but I will say it. I think that the evoke process is the process of manifestation that is, dressed up to be something else. Because if we tell our clients we're going to manifest this beach house, they're going to leave. So don't tell them that. And if you don't believe me, there is a book called Mind Magic. So Dr. James Doty is a neuroscientist. I'm sure he's a neuroscientist. Anyways, in this book is all of the science behind what our brain goes through when we have visualizations that are very strong and very clear that we believe in. Your brain does not know the difference between an imaginative idea and a real idea. Which is why manifestation is possible when we get this idea that we believe so strong in, that we are emotionally attached to, and then we take steps. Manifestation is not, I want $1 million really bad and you get $1 million. Manifestation requires you to take action. So what is the evoke process? We figure out what you want, we get emotionally attached to it, there's purpose behind it, and then we put steps to it to move towards that goal. That goal is going to happen. Or a version of it is going to happen. He might have his house by now, for all I know. Less than 6 months. To me, that is so exciting. And I don't think traditional financial planning gets us there, but life planning gives our clients the permission to bring these things out, to dream and figure out what they really want. And then we can go bring the numbers to show them how can we make that work. And then they get to make the decision if that's what they pursue or not. But for me, thinking about helping someone leave a path that does not fulfill them, does not give them purpose, to move over to a path that does, that's pretty powerful. Like that's life-changing. It's great to help them get to retirement and invest well. We still get to do all of that, but now the life that they're going to go live is the life they really want to live. Like to me, that is super exciting. So, Money Quotient, Golden Gate, Kinder. Obviously, I love Kinder. I'll share one more thing on the Kinder process before I move on. You may have heard of Kinder's famous 3 questions. So part of the process is we go through these 3 questions. They're on the internet. You can find them. I'm not divulging something that George doesn't want to go out there. But they're centered around abundance and mortality. So the first question is, imagine you wake up with all the money in the world. Like, what would life look like? Dream big. There's no restrictions. Just put it all out there. And what you might learn is that when we think about giving our clients that freedom, we think they're going to want to be billionaires or all these crazy dreams. Then the reality of it is I don't think most people want crazy lives. They just want lives that make them happy. So don't be afraid to give them this open gift of all the money in the world and then look at this life that's technically impossible. Because what you might realize is they might say they want to be a billionaire, but through this process you realize that the billionaire is attached to a fear or a concern or a money story that we can address, and they don't need $1 billion, they just need $4 or $5 million. And now that becomes a lot more attainable, and they'll be able to do that. But you've walked them away from this number that really has something hidden to it. So that's the first question. The second question is, you go to the doctor, you get informed that you have 3 to 5 years left to live. You won't be sick, you won't be aching, you won't hurt, but you don't know when you're going to die in that time period. What does your life look like? What do you do? So how are you going to change your life if you know your life is much shorter? The crazy thing is, we could all have that diagnosis today, we don't even know it. But knowing that it's there gives us the permission to put priorities in order. And the final question, which is the most important one to me, you go back to that doctor and you find out today is your last day of your life. In that moment, what did you not get to do? Who did you not get to become? What's left undone? And if the individual is ready and honest, those answers become a very focal part of the financial planning process. Because if you tell me today's your last day and you regret not getting to see your kids play sports, then it's not your last day, hopefully. How do we make sure that that is no longer your regret? That becomes a priority. And if that really is your biggest regret, there should be objections to making that happen. And that could be a drastic change in your life. You've got to leave your job because the hours that you work, that means you make less money. But if that's the thing you would regret on your deathbed, it might be worth it. And as the advisor, it's not our job to judge. It's to help them figure out, help be a guide. And that was one of the things that really excited me was Louis, who was my instructor, he said, it's not the life planner's job to provide any answers in the life planning process. I was like, wait, I don't have to give any answers? Like, I just get to sit back and ask questions and form relationships and help people? Like, sign me up. Like, the responsibility is not mine, it's on you, the client. I love it. And I love Rick Rubin, so to me I equate, like, that's being like a Rick Rubin in finance. Like, Rick Rubin's a very famous music producer that doesn't play instruments and doesn't play the keyboards, but any of your favorite artists have worked with him, then basically he's like this Buddha-looking guy with a beard and walks around with no shoes and a white t-shirt, and all he does is help find the hit inside of the artist and pull it out. He's worked with everybody. And then he puts his little flavor, which would be like our financial planning on it, to help make the song better. Like the example of that I always give is Jay-Z's 99 Problems song, if you know that. You know, it starts out a cappella and then the beat drops. It's like iconic. If it starts to play, everybody knows what's coming. The a cappella part was Rick's suggestion that took the song to the next level. That is us putting on our advisor hat to put together the numbers that makes the plan reality. And to me, that's exciting. That's what I want to do. So that's the how behind what it is that we're doing. I think it's the future of the profession. I think every firm is going to have either a registered life planner or somebody doing this type of work on staff. Not everybody has to do it, because not everybody's going to want it. Like, I disagree with my instructor, Louis, that life planning is for everybody. From the standpoint of, I don't think everybody wants it or everybody is ready for it. His argument is, don't even tell them you're doing it, leading them down this way with these questions, they're going to want it. And I can see some truth to that, but not everybody's ready to come to their financial advisor to open up. I mean, it's damn near therapy. And not everybody's in that mindset when they come to their advisor. So I don't think we force it on them. I think we let them know it's there. And I'm going to share on the second half of this talk about how we can do that by you doing life planning or being life planning for yourself, leading by example. So I don't think it's for everybody. I think they have to be ready for it. But I believe in it so much, and I think every firm is going to have it. It is a complement to what it is we do. It's not a replacement. It's technically called financial life planning. I'm just at a stage in my career where I don't want to do financial planning anymore. I'm 20 years in. I have a great group of clients. I still want to do that work for them. But any new clients, I don't want to do numbers. I just want to sit with emotions and figuring things out and then refer to a financial advisor who can do the number part for them if they need it. And I changed the relationships at my firm, so that's all they offer. You go to RLS Wealth's website, all you see is LifeDesign Plus. That's my life planning relationship. And what makes my life planning relationship different from other ones is I use Kinder's Evoke. I'm not a systems guy. I like to do things my way. I follow that thing to a T, to the scripts and everything, because I believe in it that much. But then I'm a big believer in alignment of spirit, mind, and body, and that impact that it has on money. So my kind of flavor to life planning is, in that life planning process, I want to talk about how are you aligning your spirit? How are you aligning your body? How are you aligning your mind? Because I think when you do those things, you move closer to the true version of yourself. You're better connected to who you were meant to be, which opens up a lot of doors and synchronicities. I was talking about synchronicities last night, weird things that happen, numbers, repeating numbers. When I think about a client, if I don't call them within 48 hours, I'm getting an email or a phone call for them. I don't know who's signaling who, if I'm signaling them or if they're signaling me, but these synchronicities come. Even to the point of, I have another book that I'm going to talk about, but Sam and I were talking last night at dinner, and I asked him a question, and he sent me, like 20 minutes before I went on, a book that kind of was instrumental in the answer he gave me, and it was by Dr. David Hawkins. Just so happens the book that I'm going to reference here in a minute is Dr. David Hawkins. Now, most people will say, oh, that's coincidence, that's chance. I do not believe in that. I don't know what it means, but it's not by chance that he sent me an offer that I'm getting ready to introduce you, other than maybe this gives you the incentive to look up Dr. David Hawkins and see what he's all about. So as you move through life and have this alignment, these things kind of happen and the path kind of opens up to you. And I know this through personal experience. There was a period of time where I was doing too much. Running my firm, running the community. I was the chief of staff at a startup with one of my best friends that was doing crypto for advisors, and I was just burning both ends of the candle. And I didn't know it at the time. And long story short, I'll say it was burnout. It really wasn't anything dramatic. I just realized that an exercise I had done with a mentor of lining out my ideal day was right in front of me if I left the startup, which I didn't really care about. And when I left that startup, I got back to taking care of myself. I've been an athlete my whole life. During that period of time, I wasn't working out. I wasn't doing all these things. Meditation started to take point for me. I got into yoga. All these things came in. And life just, I won't say became easier, but became more clear. So that's why I want to bring that to my LifeDesign Plus, because it's been so important to me. I got to stop and restart my camera. These things only record for, and then it shuts off. So I share all that with, I believe in it so much that the future of my career as a financial advisor is life planning only. And I'm not saying you have to make that shift, but I think that more people are going to want this work once they find out about it. Clients talk. Yeah, my advisor, he's got me in a good portfolio, we're doing really good. Combine that, you're talking to the friend over lunch, yeah, my advisor helped me buy the beach house that I've always wanted to buy because my dad passed away. Or I left this career that I absolutely hated and my advisor helped me figure out how I can go do this thing that I'm so passionate about. What do you think the person who has a good portfolio is going to think? Why is my advisor not helping me do that? I want to live a better life. Let me talk to your guy. Let me talk to your woman. Like I honestly believe, and you can look at it, I don't know if it was COVID, but coming out of COVID, I feel like people are reevaluating their life. We have new understandings that, hey, the paths we've been told to go down, we don't have to go into an office to 9 to 5. We can create our own business. We can put 2 or 3 side hustles together and create a good life that gives us more flexibility. Like, more people are seeking that. And you telling them they have to work to 65 because that's all you've ever told people, I don't think is going to resonate as time goes on. And if we think about the great wealth transfer coming up, stereotypically, the younger generation, they want more control. They want to live life on their terms. They want to take sabbaticals. They don't want to be told what they have to do. They want help to figure out how can they do what they want to do. And whether you do Kinder, whether you do Golden Gate or Money Quotient, adapting your financial planning process to include more of this in it, I think is going to be imperative. Like, I don't think that you're not going to have that. And we're going to be able to do it as well because we can lean on technology. AI is not going to replace us. AI is going to allow us to spend less time on portfolios, less time on billing, less time on tax projections. Let the AI do all that, so now we have 4 or 5 more hours a day to be talking to our clients, spending more time, doing things that help fuel them to move in that direction. There's tons of creative ideas to how you can make your practice really exciting to help clients move forward and towards the life that they really want to live. But that's another topic. So, my journey to figuring out life planning, I kind of shared the burnout that led me there. But there's also a common thread that I think is common amongst a lot of advisors, and we were talking about this beforehand, is there's no career path to being a financial advisor. So many different ways to come in, and no one tells you. So I'm sure many of you are much like me. You stumble into the profession, you bounce around a little bit, then you figure out how to build a client base. Depending on your situation, sometimes you just take on clients that will work with you because you need to, and you find yourself 20 years in with a business full of people that you love and care about, but it doesn't excite you like it once did because it's no longer aligned with who you are at that time. And there's many reasons you fall out of alignment with something that you started 20 years ago. It's personal growth, it's experiences that show you other ways of doing things that are more exciting to you. It's just things change. And it's hard to evolve our business with us. I think there are a lot of advisors that are very far into their career that, while it's a successful career, it doesn't make them as excited as they once were. And I think that's potentially having impact on their business that they may not be picking up on. Like, one of the advisors I work with has had a few clients leave over the last couple of years, unexpected. I think part of it might be because we're in the process of realigning his practice with his authentic self. He's not showing up at his best version because he's not excited, it's not aligned with who he is. It's hard to show up to do something every single day if you're not enjoying it. And there's aspects of our job we're not always going to enjoy. I'm not going to say every day is the greatest day ever. But I think more of your days should be days that you wake up excited about the work that you're going to do with the people that you care about and not kind of just going in and going through the motions. At least not for me. For some people, going through the motions, if that's your thing, then that's more power to you. I don't want to change anybody from being who they're supposed to be. I just want to encourage people that if there's something you want to change, explore it. So, I lost my thought. I knew I was going to do this. I go off on tangents. Oh, so like why we should be doing this in my journey. I think that not only will life planning be very, very important for the future of our businesses from a business growth standpoint and serving our clients, I think it's very, very important for us as advisors to go through this process as well. Because we want to show up as the best version of ourselves. And there is the book from Dr. Hawkins that I'm going to reference now that would suggest that the level of consciousness, so here comes the woo, the level of consciousness that we operate from can impact the success of our clients. And without getting too far into consciousness, just think about like energy. Think about the people who show up every day and whatever their profession might be, and they're just Debbie Downers, they're not happy, they're always complaining. Like that energy, even if they're not complaining to their clients, it comes across and it impacts them. Versus the advisor that's doing what they love, like me talking about life planning, like that's going to come across to my clients and they're going to be excited. And what the studies find, I'm going to tell you the study, it actually has impact on the outcomes. So Hawkins did a study on medical doctors. 2 doctors, patients have the same ailment, I think it was like a skin disease. They give them the same prescriptions so that the only difference between Dr. A and Dr. B is level of consciousness. And Hawkins has a way that you can measure it. Dr. A has high conscious, Dr. B has low conscious. The patients of Dr. B, after the trial period of time, did not get better or minimally got better. Does anybody want to guess what Dr. A's patients had experienced? They were healed. They were healed. But the only difference between the 2 of them was the level of consciousness of the doctor. Now I'm going to take some liberties here because the study is not financial advisors. But I'm going to take some liberty to say, if that's true for doctors, then it is probably also true for us advisors. So while we may be doing a good job for our clients with the projections and creating plans for them and helping them reach success, could we be doing a better job for them if we were operating more close to our authentic self? If we were operating in the way that felt natural to us, that allowed us to be the best version of ourselves? I think it would. I can't tell you what those improvements would be. I don't think it shows up as more commas in the accounts. I don't think that's where the impact of the consciousness comes in. I think it comes in from our clients having a better understanding of what it is they want or being more excited about their plans. I think it's going to be more intangible things, which is what's tough about all this. Like a lot of this process is feeling type stuff. We're quantitative people, and a lot of what I believe in and talk about is qualitative. But I don't know what the impact will be, but I for sure know it can't hurt things. And the benefit of it for you is you're happier. And you're probably happier at home. And you're a better partner and a better parent. Like it all comes around and it comes back to being more centered with who you're supposed to be. And how does life planning do that for you? You just go through the same process your clients would go through. And then you check and see how aligned is what I really want out of life and who I really am. How aligned is that with my practice? And then you have some decisions. So I can only speak to my experiences, went through the process, examined my alignment. I don't want to do financial planning anymore. I don't want to project for retirement. I don't want to do portfolios. But I'm not ready to sell my business. I don't like the idea of selling my business. I love my clients. So what is authentic to me is not cutting ship and starting over new. What was authentic to me was keeping everybody in, offering life planning to them. No one's taking me up on it, but that's not why they came to me, so I'm okay with that. And then just focus on the future being around life planning. That might not be right for you. Someone else might be, all right, the way I work is I go all in. So I'm selling my business. I'm starting from scratch. Cool. But I can tell you that my level of happiness, and I'm generally a happy person. Like I don't realize when I'm unhappy until I hit a new level of happiness and I look back and say, oh, yeah, I really wasn't happy as I thought. But the happiness, the fulfillment in what I do, the excitement I get, and then looking out another 20 or 30 years of working, I can see myself doing it. 20 to 30 more years of bringing in new clients and doing a retirement plan, I don't think I can do it. I'm somebody who has to operate doing the things that I'm passionate and excited about, and that's just not it. But I wouldn't have figured out how to make this transition without going through the life planning process. And I hit on this earlier as well. I think another big part of it is you leading by example. You're going to tell your client, hey, I want to have a much deeper conversation. I want to get to know more about you, and what you value most and what's most important to you. And it might get emotional, but I want you to trust me, it's going to help our process. I did this myself. Whether you do it yourself or you hire somebody, I don't care, but go through the process and look at it, and you can tell your client, I did it myself. And then they're going to be able to look back and see a change in you. It's not a change they recognize because it's energy. We don't see it, but we all feel when people are operating from different levels of energy, and they notice it. Yeah, I notice you have a bigger sparkle in your eye, or you seem more energetic, or whatever it might be. They're going to notice it. So I think leading by example is really important when it comes to this. And it's so important, it was so valuable and so important to me that I want you to experience it as well. Which is why I give talks like this. I've done it all myself. I know what it's meant for me. And I want more advisors, not only to do more life planning because it'll make our profession better, but I want you to live an authentic life. I want you to be the same person at home as you are when you show up at the office. How do you make that work? The life plan can help you do that. I don't wear suits anymore. Nothing wrong with suits, but it's not me. I have friends that one of their biggest complaints is they feel like they can't be themselves at work. Because there's this stereotype of what a financial advisor is. What I have to be, what I have to do, and that's not them, but they still go force themselves to be that. Like, that's why burnout happens as well. It's exhausting to put on an act, to be something that you're not, to impress somebody. Now, I'm not suggesting you change everything today because you got to take care of your clients, but build a plan. Like, how do you do it? How do you transition from where you're at to where you want to be? And then begin to move in that direction. So like I said, I think it is the future. There is science behind that supports the work that we can do and what life planning does for clients. I have some handouts, not with me, but if you go to justincastelli.io/symposium, there's a link that will take you to 2 different Google Drive folders. You don't have to enter your email. I'm not taking any information from you. I don't know how many people will download it, but it's 2 documents that will kind of help you begin to think through what does your authentic practice look like? And then how do you align that authentic practice with your authentic life? How can you merge the 2 together? You might be really, really far away from it, or you might be really close. Like when I talk about this life planning process for clients and for us, not all of them have to be drastic changes. It might be small little changes that make a big difference in your life, but you never sat down to reflect at it, to know. And to me, not knowing and then realizing it later on is a problem. Is anybody familiar with Bronnie Ware? She wrote a book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying. She was she worked in hospice, and she surveyed all these people who were in the last days, and their number 1 regret was not being a more true version of themselves. And none of the other ones had anything to do with money or houses or cars. But the number 1 thing that the dying regret was not being the truest version of themselves. And I think life planning helps pull that out for our clients, and it helps pull that out for us. And if we want to make sure that we are doing the greatest job for our clients, we need to have the technical skills, but we also need to bring this unspoken energy of higher consciousness to the table as well to maximize our impact. So I have always believed that we have the greatest profession out there because we get to make a difference in people's lives. Doctors are right up there with us. But I think we get to because we stay with our clients. And we help a lot of things happen through their life. And for a long time, our profession has helped people just get to these arbitrary goals that I don't know who came up with, and people have lived that. And I think that I want to challenge our profession to include those goals and whatever they might be, but help people actually live lives that they want to live, and not just go through life. Because we know at the end of life, we're going to look back and we're going to have all these regrets of things we didn't do. And some of those things we actually can do if we actually sit down and pull them out and then figure out how we make them happen. So I'm up for the change. I hope some of you are as well. I need more people embracing this approach to financial planning if we're going to make a dent in the profession to move forward. So hopefully some of this piques your interest. If you think it's interesting and you want to explore it more. I didn't get any comments or questions while we're going, so I wanted to make sure I left plenty of time. We've got 15 minutes for any questions, conversation type stuff. I would love to chat about kind of what you think or questions you may have. Yes?
With the life planning, does that seem to be most effective as an individual or as a couple?
So they teach you to be able to do it for couples, and the way you kind of go through it is each individual gets their own time. So you would do it as a couple, so husband and wife or partners, and partner one would go, partner two would sit and listen, and then partner two goes and partner one listens. Because you want each other to hear, again, the reason why the house was so important, so that they can come to an understanding, and collectively you build a collaborative life plan for the couple. I think it's that way with most financial planning. It's better to have both people be a part of the conversation, but you would run it as two individuals and helping them blend those two together in the way they see being best. Yeah, Sam.
Thank you. It was an awesome talk. I guess the first thing I'd say is full disclosure, I followed Justin's work for like 2 years. I think I've kind of lived through some of these changes he's talking about, and you should try it because I think it's helped me show up as a better dad, better partner, and like more real client relationships that are so much more rewarding. The question though would be like about application, because I think for a lot of us who've like been serving clients and have developed trust in a certain way, right? And a lot of it's, let's open your balance sheet. What's most important to you? Let's talk about these things. And we miss maybe what's really most important to them, but isn't coming up in our setting, right? That we've had set for a long time. Are you starting to see, or you think that like, to help bridge that gap for some of us advisors, there could be like, you know, either a on-call life planner or, you know, week-long seminar where a team can bring somebody in to open the conversation, and sometimes like the voice you first hear it from matters, right?
Yeah.
And when there's already so much history, I just envision this beautiful path where like someone like you, someone with RLP comes in and they set the stage and they give a talk, and maybe they even go through the questions individually, but then those same families can come back to any of us and say, hey, I got this work started, and I want to share with you like what's important.
Yeah.
Do you see that like there could be a middle ground there versus, and for me, like you mentioned, it's not for everyone, but maybe the challenge of like implementing with a long-term existing client where that hasn't been a part of the.
So I think there's a couple directions you could go. One, like Lindsay Troxel is a friend of mine, and her business is called Our Coaching Initiative, and she has an offering where like she'll come in and do the life plan with the advisor, help do that, and then leave. And like I'm open to doing that as well, but I haven't like spoken into existence yet. But I see a scenario where a firm doesn't have the need to hire a life planner or send somebody through it, but they are seeing some clients who are interested in it, however they're coming across it, whether it is firm has put that information in front of them, you'll bring in the life planner, do the meetings with the advisor, so the advisor hears it all, and when the life plan is complete, the life planner removes back and it's off to the financial planning. So I think that there's going to be more of that because, I'll be honest, it is a slow growth with consumers finding me for life planning because they don't know it exists. They don't know what it is. So thankfully I have my clients to serve that give me the time to build this future business, but they're not coming at me in droves. Right. So while I try to build this to be able to go help other advisors do it, I definitely think there's going to be more RLPs, that is a way for them to get more reps in and buy their time until more people come to them for it. So I definitely think that. Another way to think about introducing it, one could be you go through the life planning process, it moves you so much, then you share with your clients if you're comfortable being vulnerable, hey, I went through this process, it was life-changing. I really want to make it available to all of you should you want it. Be aware it's emotional, it's personal, but if you're interested in it, we are now offering this, or I have somebody I can bring in to help us do it, but you just tell them how important it was to you, and that right there is going to give you the credibility, the credibility you have and the trust is going to make them at least consider it. And then the other way is just kind of introducing some of the stuff, like, I don't know if you write client emails or regular emails, but you could just sprinkle them in. Hey, I've been doing my continuing education and growing as an advisor and evolving. I came across this method, and here's a few cool questions I just want you to ponder about. The next time you come in for our review, let's talk about question number 1. Or you could even just say, hey, it's been a long time since we revisited the foundation of this financial plan. For the last 5 years, we've been reviewing to make sure the taxes are on point and growth is where it needs to be, but we haven't really revisited the vision that you had back then. And maybe some things have changed over the last 5 years. Like let's go back and revisit and make sure where we're going is still where you want to go. And then that opens you up to kind of sprinkle in some of the questions. So I think there's a lot of ways you can do it without making it a big deal. And I just think it's genuine to just ask, hey, is anything different? Like, are you still wanting to do these things you said you wanted to do 10 years ago? Because I don't know about you, but in the last 3 years, my mind has changed 5 times. And I want to make sure we haven't veered too far away from your true north. So those would be the conversations. I think it's very easy to introduce that stuff in emails, very passive, let them read it, and then give them the permission to bring it up to you and ask you about it. Yes?
How long does your process typically take with a new typical client?
So it could take, well, I space it out a week to 2 weeks in between each session because there's homework, there's other exercise to give. So the exploration meeting is just all the dreams, what do you want to be, and no depth. You don't ask why in that meeting. The vision meeting is where you come back together after they've done some exercises, you hit those 3 questions, and then you dive deeper into the why, and then you create this vision. Which to me, this is the fun part. Like, can I do a good job reciting back to you the things you said you wanted in a way that you can see it, in the way that you can feel it, because that's the magic of it. So we give you the vision, and then that meeting ends. Some time goes by, obstacles, we come back together, we revisit the vision, make sure it's still on point, and then we just go through what could possibly get in the way. And let you say, here's all the things that keeps this from happening. And then we just knock each obstacle down by what can you do about it, how are you going to do it, when are you going to do it, and who do you need help from. And it takes these big monster obstacles and it chops them down to digestible steps to move forward. And sometimes the obstacle is really big and you just take chunks towards it. So it could be anywhere from 4 or 5 weeks to a few months, just depending on how willing the client is and honest they are to go into it. Which is why I think when you introduce it, depending on where the client's coming to you from, I mentioned that it's a complement to financial planning. I think the life plan should come before the great financial plan. Because don't spend all this time running numbers and projections that's leading you to a life that they don't even want, only to find out there's a different life they want, and now you have to do it again. But I do think if it's a brand new client, as a fiduciary, we should probably do like a high level assessment. Run it through Right Capital really quick, don't spend too much time, but make sure they have enough insurance, make sure their estate plan's up to date, make sure they're not swimming in debt. Just make sure there's no ticking time bomb that while you're going through this 5-6 week process, that if Murphy's Law happens, they're not in trouble. So do a quick check to say, all right, nothing is glaringly bad, let's move forward on life planning, and when we figure out where we're going, then we can build the financial plan. So I have one friend, I think it's like a 5-month process. It just takes its time into it. So again, it depends on the client, whether or not they want to invest that much time, because it is a big investment as far as their vulnerability, the homework assignments in between, and then the conversations. But I would not set expectations to a client that we're going to be done in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Yes?
Do you incorporate any mindfulness exercises in the early stages of your...
Not yet.
Okay.
I would love to. I have a coach that I hired on a life coaching, executive coaching. He incorporates breath work, cold plunge, and sauna alternations. I think that'd be really cool to implement that as well. So when I talk about the alignment of spirit, mind, and body, I don't live in a world of absolutes. I don't think there's one way for you to align that. I think there's a right way for you. So when I encourage my clients, it's just to explore and figure out what does that look like for them. So for me, it's meditation, it's journaling. I've always had a natural, optimistic outlook on life, but maintaining control of your thoughts. And then yoga, weight training, I'm trying to get into running. But those things. So I know to be in the best alignment for me, which makes life a lot easier, I need to get up every morning and do breath work, do my meditation, write my daily note, get the kids off to school, go to yoga at 9:30, go see my clients, and do a weight workout in the evening. Now, I don't do that every day, which is foolish because I know how it makes me feel, but I don't do it every single day. But I do know that when I start to feel like I'm falling out of alignment, I prioritize all that stuff to come back. So what I would encourage a client is to explore what allows them to connect those things. Because spirituality, now you're starting to get into religion and faith, and I don't want people to dismiss this because I happen to say universe instead of God. So however you practice spirituality, however you connect to your higher power, do it. Because that's, to me, if you're connected, you're going to be getting feedback telling you what you're supposed to be doing. Like, I think that comes through your heart. So we talk about our passions in life. Like, I think our passions in our life guide us the direction we're supposed to go. And go back over the last 9 years of me owning my own firm, and you will see me wandering all over the place. Different business models, different content, different ideas. Like, that was me following my passions. That led me to the burnout, that led me to the alignment, that led me to life planning, that led me to, like, this is my thing. This is my purpose, is having these conversations, doing this work, and helping more people find that alignment. So I would encourage you to leave it open-ended, depending on your client. Like, I think it'd be really cool every meeting to start off with a small meditation. Okay. That would be really cool. And it would be really beneficial because I hope that that small meditation that we did helped you through this presentation. Now, I do try, especially before a life planning meeting, I will do like a 10-minute meditation. Because in a life planning meeting, I want to be giving all of me to them, and I want to be present. So I want all of the other stuff out of my mind so that I can just be there with them, and I think that allows me to do a better job. That's a great question, though.
Love the kinder questions.
Mhm.
I use them early on in my process. But how do you handle it when there's a known health thing where maybe there's a prognosis or something like that? It feels a little awkward as an advisor to say, we found out you have 5 years left or something like that. Have you run into that yet? Because I have a couple clients.
Yeah, that's a good question. I have not run into that.
Oh, okay.
But that's where I think I would.
It's awkward.
Yeah, I don't know if I would bring that question up.
Right?
I mean,
I
if
haven't.
they
Yeah.
if they've told me about the prognosis and I know about the diagnosis and we've
Yeah.
had a conversation about it,
Yeah.
then I think you're free to ask them. Like, hey, like, let's not beat around the bush. Here's the reality of the situation. You've got 5 years is what the doctors are saying. How do we maximize those 5 years while we also make sure we take care of the family? And I would probably use this, try to get the same thing out,
Right.
but just
How do you work?
like, don't beat around it. I would just say, hey, here's what it is. Like, I'm going to be real with you because I want us to find a way to make the rest of your time. And I would probably wouldn't say that, but like,
So
yeah,
hard
no, totally
to
is,
say.
totally is,
Really is.
totally is. I mean, like,
Is your bill paid up?
yeah. So I mean, like, one thing you could do just to get some ideas is like, say what you want to, like, type out what you want to say and throw it through ChatGPT. Seriously, like,
So it
ChatGPT,
is.
how can I make this more sensitive?
Yeah.
And then, like, just to get new ideas. Not to say that you read that script,
Right.
but it could help you make it a little bit more, sensitive.
Right.
And then you tweak it to that. So that would be where I would go.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Yes.
A couple quick things. One, I'm a huge believer in all the woo stuff too.
Yes.
And sometimes my extended
High five.
family, my extended family or my wife is like, really? Like, you read that book? It says the same thing. Well, I totally believe in it. And I think that if you ever read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill,
Yep.
people overlook that because it's an old book, but he was talking about all the same stuff a long time.
You know who else talked about it? It's John Templeton.
Okay.
Like the Templeton of Franklin Templeton Funds, he has like a daily book, and I've discovered it, and it's literally him talking about spirit, mind, body, and money. His is a little bit more tied to Christianity, but there's still a spiritual component. So John Templeton, one of the greatest investors of time, was talking about mindset and manifestation and all this stuff. But they don't, I don't know why they don't tell us that.
I don't know either. But the other thing I was going to build on too or ask you, I'm all about going all in and being able to do it, but what are some tips or ideas or questions that you've had success where it's like almost giving the medicine with the sugar or whatever, where it's like if you have a client who's, maybe more closed and doesn't want to open up and be emotional about things, what things have you had success with to kind of open the door or kind of guide them in without them knowing that they're doing something good? I don't know, to get more clarity on where they're headed.
Why is the greatest question. So just, all I would do is, whatever answer they gave me, I would ask why. And I'd ask a few times, and if they didn't want to go deeper, I'm a wuss, I'd just back off.
Just back off, fair enough?
Yep. And I write about a lot of this stuff for my clients, so every one of my daily notes is in my weekly email to my clients. So they know where my mind is and what I'm thinking about, and I don't force it. And it's brought some really cool stuff up in meetings where we've gone down spiritual and religious talks that I never thought we would have. But it's because I'm sharing it with them, and they know I'm open to it. So by sharing where I'm at,
sharing yourself a lot.
Yeah, it gives them permission. But I've always been an overshare with my personal life.
Me too.
My kids are a big part of my content. I share all that. You'll be able to go back in time and read my daily notes, and there's something that I'm exploring right now, and if it happens, you're going to read my daily notes and be like, oh, he was telling us the whole time what he was doing. But it's paid huge dividends for me from personal standpoint, from professional with my clients, but also with advisors.